In Singapore, 3D printed fashion is still new. We believe that we are the first and still the only design company that has created a 3D printed fashion collection.
My fashion is, I would describe them as wearable art. They are usually experimental. I try to push the boundaries of 3D printing or certain fabrication technique.
What we really want to do is to tell a story about the use of new technology, of new techniques, to envision what future fashion might look like. We believe in a new form of fashion design where we are using computation to deliver our designs, which means the computer does the bulk of the work for you and you serve more as a curator for the designs that come out of the computation.
It's almost impossible to know what the outcome is going to be because a lot of them are generated with algorithms. So one of our collaborators would like structures growing out from the edge of a broken ceramic fragment like this. We decided to computationally grow petals and melting structures onto it. So it's an amalgamation of something physical and something that is abstract. By tweaking the code just a little bit and you have very interesting variations. As you can see, they resemble something that you find in nature.
There are many problems that 3D printing can solve, and specifically for the fashion industry, there's a lot of underutilized fabrics which are thrown away. With 3D printing, there's minimal waste. We are able to use technologies such as 3D scanning to scan the client's data, bodies, their facial structures, and make everything to fit that there's no extra inventory. And this means that we don't spend extra on storage, we don't spend extra on overproduction, we only make what we need and the customer gets what they need.
Every day, I always look forward to work, and I guess it's never a bore moment because it's always different context, different season of people's lives that we're experiencing, from birth all the way up till when they are a grandma or doing wedding bands.
My doggie is really precious to me.
Sorry, what's her name?
Her name is Boo. She was with me for 17 and a half years. I really had to let go because she was not eating and all that. So it was too traumatic.
She had this idea of her dog being cremated and having his ash being put into the piece of jewelry that she wanted to wear. This is our first time doing it. 3D printing has been around for about 7 years. One of the most important things is that it pushes the boundaries of designers like myself. We're able to push the boundaries of things that are tiny and precise, a lot more intricate shapes, hexagonal, or even shapes that are beyond your imagination that you can have. And when we did this ring for a particular client, he would like it to be colorful, yet very close to nature. Hence, we name it the Garden of Eden. The most important thing is how 3D has allowed us to make the flowers bursting out from the ring itself. We have printed each of the petal so that we're able to put in the gemstone itself and assemble it together. 3D technology really cuts a lot of time for us and hence brings up efficiency. So if it is not done by 3D, instead of a month, it would be 6 months at least because of the detailing that goes into it.
I use these as a geometry for the heels. And then actually when I try to morph using these different like die-grid structures.
We'll resolve those later. We are currently conducting a collaboration with the NUS School of Architecture. We are working with a bunch of third-year students to challenge them in a way with an interdisciplinary approach through the use of fashion mindset, a stylistic mindset, to see how they may engage building assignment and then have them design a fashion piece that we can 3D print.
For now, I've also varied the wall thickness because I think last week you wanted me to have like a very thick floor and then like have it to taper upwards so that it's structural.
No, what you're doing now is that you're thinking like the structural engineer and you're trying to recall his tactics
Correct.
in structuring the tower.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things in learning design for the undergraduate years is not to start with preconceptions, but actually to see how things in one field could relate to another. Lionel brings to the class a certain computational outlook that gets the students very interested in making studies in form and pattern in a way that could not be possible if they were only to look at windows, walls, and columns and floor plates.
I suggest you extract that early portion of the code and put it in a separate file. Do a simple test and experiment on how you can correct the point distribution.
So we have a new client, Stephen, and what he wanted was to do an amber piece. But the challenge is that he wanted his dog, this is Banana, to be part of this bangle that he wanted.
So I got this amble from a friend. I was told that this was about 300 million years old, that there's a lab certificate from Poland. Apparently there's a cockroach inside, some worms and stuff, and tons of scientific names that I can't pronounce and I don't know. Banana is the first dog that I have. I wanted something to can remember him for life. He has brought me a lot of joy, especially during COVID where we all work from home. He would just quickly just get up and come to me, put his paw on my thigh, sort of like saying to me like, you know, Daddy, don't stress, I'm here for you.
One of the things that is very surprising to people is that we serve a lot of male clientele. And why? Because they just love to be creative. That's how they express themselves. Amber, it's a very fluid stone and it doesn't have a specific dimension towards the piece of gemstone. Hence, we have to tap on the technology of 3D to make sure that the precision of how the jewelry is holding that piece of amber and it's safe to wear. So I think the most important thing is we need to make sure that we know which one is face up.
Oh yes.
Right.
It's actually fine. It actually brings out the stone itself.
I believe there are some porous materials, maybe like a wood composite. We spent some time not just teaching them on the computational techniques, but more time actually was spent convincing them to design more dangerously, design more illogically, and follow the emotive side of your mind, so that the fashion piece or the building that they're designing could just be something totally unique that no one has seen before.
Even for myself, because I'm a classically trained fashion designer, it took me years to get used to 3D printing fashion, and there is still so much to learn. It's a never-ending learning process.
You can either do it symmetrically or do one entire strip of surface. So you trace out the open curve and the base curve,
I
right?
think it's better if you find a top side view of a shoe online.
Yeah, you can do that. In fact, then you can be more adventurous with your form. We started in 2015. I was independent product designer and Jamela was finishing up her studies in LaSalle. She wanted to look for some expertise in additive manufacturing or 3D printing, and I happen to be a product designer who used quite a bit of it. So we met each other and we started working together because we found that there is a synergy going on.
We added the dog's ash and then we mixed it up all together so that the printer itself is able to print the pendant or the shape of what we want via 3D printing. It was our first time doing this. We didn't even know whether it was going to work because the ash itself, we didn't know whether the resin or the 3D printing was going to pick it up. One of the greatest things with technology of 3D printing, we are able to experiment things beyond the norm of what we normally do, what we normally create. For Claudine's project itself, she described her dog was joyful, so we want to exude that. And the resin, we wanted to have different sets of colors to add on the fun and just that whole vibe of it's a joyful remembrance for her. And they all contain the traces of the ash.
We design both wearable art as well as jewelleries, accessories. Our main clients would be museums, galleries, collectors, and sometimes event organizers, companies who want to have media events that draws attention. This upcoming collaboration is with international whiskey company. They approached us hoping that we could design some fashion objects for their upcoming product launch in April.
Their manufacturing processes for their whiskey is full of histories. It's honed after generations of trial and error. We felt a certain kinship with that because we ourselves are very experimental. We like to try new things. I think when we are trying to adopt 3D printing as part of our design process for this project, a big part of it was breaking away from the limitations of fabric and working on multi-dimensionality. We are trying to bring into reality what we envision the whiskey's flavor is supposed to behave.
Thank you so much for the pictures that you have sent to us about banana. Okay, let me just show you what we have came up with. So this is your first version of it. His look, his sharpness, his proportion of his face, his little paws touching, yeah, is whether that this is something that you're okay with. What 3D has enhanced is that you don't need to imagine the designs anymore because you're able to change certain portion of the jewelry before it's even being made.
So after many conversations, we settled on this design where banana sort of trying to climb on top. I was very impressed. It's the first time when I saw it.
So we're gonna finish off banana in 18 karat yellow gold and just nearing to the part of the gold where it encases the amber, it will be blackened gold. We have a factory back in Indonesia where they use 3D printed resin to be able to be cast into jewelry, into gold. Back in the days when technology wasn't there, the gold would be shaped and contoured towards the amber piece itself. Therefore, we would take a longer time to finish it off. We used to file to shape, and hence a lot of gold will be wasted. And with technology right now, we are bringing workmanship time down and wastage down, and it allows us to be more precise with the things that we are designing and that brings cost down for our clients.
Our relationship is a little bit like if I were a painter, Lionel is the technical person who helps to mix my paint, and he is in charge of technical and technological aspect.
We research on the mechanism of the code. How can the code be derived or written to create this new aesthetic that we want to convey?
Personally, I like this the best because it looks the most luxurious. What do you think?
I agree. So this is the inner dress design for the glamfitic concept. We had formulated many different dress designs. What kind of dress design can convey the nuance and the personality of their products?
And the challenge of bringing something digital to physical would be the wearability. How do you put it on the model's head and make sure that it doesn't fall off? After printing, we will attach it on the little hooks and use metal wire to tie it up so that it doesn't fall off.
I'm suddenly so glam.
Yeah. One challenge I encounter when designing 3D printed dresses is that what you see on the computer is not what you get in real life, even though the render is very realistic because gravity is not being considered. So it takes a lot of trial and error as well.
Come on, baby. Come. Yeah.
For Stephen's piece itself, he really enjoys something that is of art piece. And to add on banana to be part of this project, to be part of his art, it's a show win already.
I'm very impressed with how you use 3D to design this, mold it, print it, yeah, then the sculpting.
Not many designers around in Singapore actually use 3D rendering. She's one of the first few. That experience of conceptualizing this from using gold to encase the bangle to having something very important to me, which is banana. It's a combination of technology and centuries-old craftsmanship.
This dress was very much inspired by the character and taste of the Grand Couronne Glenfiddich whiskey. We are particularly inspired by the layeredness of its taste and wooden quality. So that is why Jamela and I decided on using a very nature-inspired aesthetic for this concept.
The silhouette is very organic. As you can see, there is like a swirl movement. Each of this unit would remind the viewers of plant cells. And the dress is 3D printed in elastomer, which is a type of rubber. So it's flexible and very strong. It will not break. So the wearer can put it on and flex with no issues.
We like the organic, free-flowing, gravity-defying forms. And as far as we know, only 3D printing can convey this reliably in physical form. This branch of research going on called 4D printing, which is basically printing in 3D form out of composite materials. When you apply to it an external stimuli, for example heat or certain chemicals, you can cause it to react and deform, change its shape. So that is something really exciting we are looking forward to.
You can look into the camera. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
So here it is. Claudine wanted an ash pendant to be worn where it's of her late dog's ash. So we made a 3D printed piece with the ash being part of the resin.
Wow, that's so colorful.
When Claudine first saw it, I didn't know what to expect as well. When we are able to recreate that experience for her, to be able to be close to her pet, Boo Boo, for us it was just a goal that's achieved as designers, as a jeweler itself.
Maybe it's still a new concept, and some people may be a bit icky, and I'm happy that I actually decided to do this. She's my baby, where every time I feel sad, she puts her head on my chest, and this is perfect, now it's perfectly on my chest, and she's with me forever. It's more than I expected.
It started out as experimentation, but when we capture emotions from clients, when we capture that heartwarming story, it's really special. My team and I, we're always challenging ourselves and always perpetually asking ourselves, what's next? The future of 3D printing is something I can imagine. It's like a vending machine for jewelry within a short amount of time. If that is possible, that would be really fantastic because it allows or empowers everybody to be a jewelry designer.